As you've seen on Friday, Tesla stock accelerated higher even as the markets were declining. I believe Tesla is already in a short squeeze. I've said this before here on the channel, but I want to elaborate briefly on what I mean by this. I mean, the data tells us short sellers are covering. There's a lot more shares that need to be covered between now and October 10th to de-risk hedge funds' portfolios in Tesla. Right? If you're short on Tesla, the Fed's cutting rates 50 basis points. There's this soft landing narrative, and Tesla has this massive Robotaxi catalyst. You want to cover on your short position. Now, the question really is, does this turn into some kind of explosive Tesla short squeeze? And I think the answer to that is yes. Number one, the charts look great. Number two, heading into October 10th, there's going to be a lot more FOMO buying that takes place in Tesla. And with FOMO buying, you're going to get some panic short covering, I believe, at the same time because of the uncertainty that will be around the Robotaxi event. And just as the losses start to pile up, really above 250, the losses are starting to get a lot. Okay, not to mention if Tesla stock rallies to the 280s, that's another critical level that you could start to see more shorts covering, and that could help propel us to the 300s and potentially to that 320, 325 area by October 10th. These are just my views. These are just my opinions. But if we do get good news between now and then, that's going to help propel Tesla stock even higher. With that, we do have a big catalyst coming up that I think the Robotaxi event has kind of clouded the foresight for other catalysts, but this is the delivery numbers for Q2, Q3 coming on October 2nd. That is next Wednesday. Okay. And with this catalyst, if it comes in better than expected, you could see Tesla stock rally something fierce. In fact, this could be a new record quarter for Tesla. It's possible. Tesla would have to really beat expectations, but it's possible to get a new record quarter for Tesla, which would be like 488,000 deliveries or more. Just to put some rough numbers there. Current Wall Street estimates are around 465 to 470,000, but if there was strength in the US, you could see a new record quarter for Tesla. With that said, in this video, we will discuss where I think Tesla stock is going, where it will be going, what I think the delivery number roughly will be. I will have a full in-depth breakdown of, what my estimate is for this Wednesday's delivery number, but that video will be coming out tomorrow. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. We will briefly talk about my expectations roughly in this video and what kind of effect that can have to Tesla stock. We also have some risks coming up this week that I will highlight in this video. But first, I want to start with what CNBC just said about Tesla stock. It's actually this clip here. It says Tesla jumps ahead of Q3 deliveries.
Tesla showing some sparks of life, surging nearly 10% this week and far outpacing the rest of the Mag 7 stocks. The stock is up 21% in September, its best month since June of last year, and gains come ahead of Q3 delivery numbers coming next Wednesday and the highly anticipated Robotaxi reveal coming almost a week later. Mike, I know this one's in the infamous or famous, however you look at it, Holly Index. You drive one. What are your thoughts on the stock's move here?
Yeah, she drives one. I do not drive one,
you
but
watch her
she drives one.
All right.
Yeah, well, sometimes I drive it, I guess. We had a couple of them at the end of last year. We have only one of them now. I mean, this is always one of the busiest options around. It was the second most active in terms of call volume today, behind perennial front runner these days, at least NVIDIA. But of course, it's a higher dollar stock price, so the difference in the contract quantity between the two is not as big as it might first appear. It traded almost 1.5 million call contracts versus 1 million on average per day. And to think about how big an increase that is, 400,000 plus contracts over the average daily volume. The third place name is Amazon, and that only traded about 440,000 call contracts in total. So, when you see this kind of an uptick, it is meaningful. I mean, options traders are playing basically in Tesla and NVIDIA exclusively, it seems like.
Yeah, a lot of the analysts are getting more bullish going into the delivery numbers. Wedbush just today saying that they see upside to consensus numbers and that China is actually going to be a positive driver for demand. There's favorable financing and leasing terms there that could really help it boost sales.
There's definitely been upgrades. The China news this week, along with all the other China news, but it was Tesla in China that was coming through. They've got this 1.99% 6-year financing, which has to be supporting. And the bears are going to say, what happens without that? And I've also seen some pretty clear divergence between buy side and sell side on this. Buy side is actually a little bit more pessimistic. Let's see where we go.
And if you look at Rivian's charts, the inverse of Tesla's charts. So Tesla is truly moving on. China, Robotaxi, everything's been pushed off. The whisper number is higher than the streets number usually is. But if they blow that number out, people are still going to be scrambling to chase this one. Remember,
blow it out meaning in a good way?
To the upside. Okay. And remember, it's true. GM scrapped their Robotaxi plans. So realistically, it's Waymo and it's Tesla. And if Tesla could keep that momentum going, if we waited this long, if it's an exciting reveal, then the stock can go higher.
And that's basically it. As that last guy said there, if Tesla has a blowout number to the upside, Tesla's stock is going to rally a lot. I believe if Wednesday's number is good, Tesla stock's at least going up 7%. Okay, that would put the stock like better than expected, like 472,000 deliveries, something like that. The stock's going up probably 7%, around $278 to call it $280, right? Between 7 and 8%. If Tesla has a blowout, like 492,000 deliveries, Tesla stock's going up 10+%. And that would put the stock at about $287 per share. If Tesla is over 500,000 deliveries, which I think is a possibility, then Tesla stock's going up 15% on Wednesday. And Tesla is going to be a $300 stock by this upcoming Wednesday. Now, do I think that's the base case scenario? No. I think a number between 283 and 292 is roughly where we will be. I will have a more final, conclusion on that coming out tomorrow. It's going to take a little bit more research, more number crunching to actually get a more accurate number. But let's face it, guys. I have been the most accurate predictor of Tesla deliveries over the last couple of quarters. Sometimes within 1,000 vehicles, right? And if I'm correct again, we're going to have a pretty monster rally on Wednesday. And from there, the question becomes, how much hype does Tesla get? We already know the option activity is elevated. I mean, as that guy said on CNBC, the last guy there, or was it the first guy there, that was calling out the option activity. Yeah, he's not wrong. If you take a look at the interesting flow sentiment on Friday, you had 156 different trades from hedge funds and institutions, totaling $337 million. Like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we were trading like $7 to $10 million a day in option activity. It has surged thousands of percents in total option activity. You also had a positive order value of 81%, which is pretty damn good as well. So there's definitely a lot of people looking at Tesla right now. There's definitely a lot of people, I think, that are on the verge of getting FOMO. I think some people are right there, but have not yet pulled the trigger yet. And I do think the shorts are in a world of trouble heading into this week. You have short interest off free flow at 2.77%. You have $19.59 billion currently sold short. the amount of shares sold short sitting at 77.08 million. And over the past couple of days, you've seen about 6.5 million shares that have actually been covered in just the last few days. Even on Friday, you had 331,000 shares that were covered. But it was really that big day here when Tesla went up 5% on September 23rd that you actually had around 5 million shares that got covered on that day alone. September 19th was also another really big day. Just to zoom back out a little bit, you did have a couple million shares that were covered there. But really above 250, things start to get brutal for the shorts. And let's say Tesla does come in around my, target range for deliveries, Tesla could see a 10% day and be a $286, $287 stock. And that's really going to put the shorts in a bad position. Okay, you don't want to be short in Tesla with good news heading into what could be a really good, event for Tesla. Now, I want to tame some expectations here, at least a little bit. The more Tesla rallies, the greater the chances of a sell the news event coming October 10th. If Wall Street gets super excited about this Robotaxi event, if Tesla stock does rally to 300 or 320, as I think is certainly, in the cards over the next 2 weeks, then if Tesla does not deliver and impress, the stock could fall 10% at least following the Robotaxi event. It could fall more than that, just depending on, if there were to be a fail like Google had with their, chatbot assistant at their event a couple months ago, right? Am I expecting a failure? No. Am I expecting definitive guidance on when we get the Robotaxi event? Not really. Or when we get the first Robotaxi ride? Not really. I think that's the biggest wild card, though. If we get a Robotaxi event that goes off without a hitch, great. We still sell the news after. If we get a Robotaxi event that goes off without a hitch and Tesla tells us we're going to get Robotaxi rides in 2025, then Tesla stock goes higher following the Robotaxi event. Even if it's $300+, Tesla stock probably goes higher, if not holds up its gain. But that's the real question. Do we get that definitive guidance? I don't know. With that said, we also do have some risk factors to consider for this upcoming week. Now, am I super concerned? No. Am I mildly concerned? I guess that's a way of putting it. As I've said here on this channel for a while now, I do think the economic data for the month of September and October is going to be okay. Now, I think October is going to be a little bit worse than September, but I think heading into the election, people don't want to see, I'm just going to use people so I don't get blacklisted here. People don't want to see the economy get worse. That's like the worst thing for the event that we have on November, 6th, 5th? Is that election day, November 6th? I believe might be the 5th. But that's the worst thing that can happen is the economy goes crashes and burns. You don't want to see that happen. I do think the economic data is coming in much better than my business connects tell me. What I hear from other people, some of the non-GOV data that we get, like Michigan Consumer Sentiment or the NFIB Consumer Confidence Index, right? Some of these things are just coming in a lot worse. Even some of the Fed manufacturing data that we got last week, Kansas Fed, Richmond Fed, all showing employment starting to hemorrhage in the factory sector of this economy. And it's just not painting the same picture that we get from some GOV data. Now, on Monday, you're going to get Chicago PMIs, Dallas Fed manufacturing, a speech from Jerome Powell. I think manufacturing is important here because, again, does the Dallas Fed manufacturing index also come in really bad? That's going to start to paint a bad picture for the overall, manufacturing segment of this country. But you do have ISM manufacturing PMIs that come in Tuesday morning, expecting a relatively unchanged number from last month via some of the data we've got from manufacturing already. That could come in much lower. You are also expecting JOLTS job openings. Now, job openings, if they come down, it's not going to be good, okay? Because apparently there's more people entering the workforce, trying to find jobs. If there's less jobs available, unemployment rate rises. Okay, that's what Jerome Powell even said on September 18th on the podium when he cut rates 50 basis points. So you do not want to see a big drop in JOLTS job openings. You're really not expecting much of a drop at all. Wednesday, you just got some Fed speakers, nothing too crazy there. Thursday, you have ISM services PMI. That will be important. Again, there's a lot of different subcomponents of ISM manufacturing and ISM services PMIs that come out this week, including new orders, prices paid, employment, and business activity. And Wall Street's going to scrutinize each and every single one of these individual data points and say, what does this mean for the broader economy, right? Now, Friday is the big data. We're expecting non-farm payrolls around 145,000 for the month of September, and the unemployment rate expected to stay at 4.2%. Here's the deal, though. The unemployment rate went from 4.26%. So we all know how to round, right? Anything above like 4.25 is rounded up to 4.3%. Anything below 4.25 is rounded down to 4.2. So that's essentially what happened. We went from 4.26% down to 4.22%. So the decimal is important here because it gets rounded for the headline number. So if we go back up to 4.25 again, not a big deal. That's kind of where we just were at last month. But it would look like we're going to 4.3% on the headline unemployment rate. Now, there's a big difference between just going up another 3 or 4 points or going to, 4.32% or 4.34%. Then you're going to come in at 4.3%, but you're actually going to be rounding down because that would be quite a large jump in the unemployment rate. Okay, and if we were to come in, at 4.4% or something like that, that would also be very problematic. Non-farm payrolls, we did get a warning from Citibank that says they could come in around 70,000, and that would be probably a 3 to 5% sell-off for markets if that happened. Now, is that my expectation? Probably not. Again, the GOV doesn't want to make it look like the economy is just rapidly deteriorating right before election takes place. So again, I'm not too concerned about this week's upcoming economic data. I'm mildly concerned. And I think it could put a damper on things, especially if Friday's jobs report comes in bad. But again, by then, we're going to have the delivery numbers for Tesla that are, from all measures that we can see, are going to come in pretty good regardless. Question is, how good do they come in? And we'll get more estimates from other firms coming out for Tesla deliveries over the next couple of days. And that could even help propel Tesla stock higher heading into Wednesday. Now, if you look at Tesla stock on a technical basis, the stock is just grinding higher at this point, right? You haven't got this blow off top kind of gap up like at behavior, I guess, if you will, that you've seen during the other large rallies in Tesla. Tesla doesn't usually just tend to grind higher. It tends to get a grind higher for a period and then just a couple of days where things really explode, right? This rally in July, you kind of grinded higher and then you had a 6% day and then you had a 10% day and then you had a 6.5% day, all back to back. And then you had another 4% day and it was basically over with at that point, right? So it's possible we could just start getting a couple big days, especially, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe Thursday, right? That will push Tesla stock higher. So I think there's an opportunity to the upside here. But I do think if you're not in Tesla right now, you might, be better off waiting until after the event to see how the economy does. Keep in mind, I'm in the hard landing camp. So if we get a hard landing, Tesla stock's going to come down again, right? I don't think this is the last opportunity to buy Tesla. Below $300 per share. Unfortunately, I'm in the hard landing camp, right? And until I get some data or some reasoning to sway that belief, then, I think there will be a better buying opportunity. Of course, if you're a long-term investor, I think now is a beautiful price, right? You're still 40% roughly off of all-time highs. Like, this is still a great time to buy Tesla regardless. But if you're, more tactical and willing to be a little bit more patient, I think you will get somewhat a better buying opportunity. Now, the MACD for Tesla is at 10.52, signal line at 7.3. Things look really good there. The RSI is at 67.33. I think why that's important as well is because normally on this grind higher that Tesla tends to do during large rally phases, you get to about 70. And then you see the explosion afterwards. That pushes you into, the 80s or so. And I believe it was in July, Tesla was July. Tesla was the most overbought stock in the markets at that time. It had an RSI of almost 90 at one point. And once you get above 70, things just start to get pretty explosive for Tesla. So I actually think the RSI looks very good for an even bigger rally higher. So these are some of my thoughts, my opinions, my projections. A little bit of a concern for next week's economic data, although I don't think that's going to derail Tesla all too much. Friday is the big wild card, the jobs report, the unemployment rate. That is the thing that is really going to set the mood for the whole month of October for generalized markets. So I think that's why that is so important. Nonetheless, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Let me know what you guys think about this information down below in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. If you guys want to come trade Tesla with us and other stocks, options, cryptos, anything, really anything we want to do over there. I like to trade a lot of earnings. I think I have probably the best earnings strategy to play IV to get free contracts and, turn free options essentially into a lot of money. I just think my strategy is the best around earnings, and we are heading into earnings season. So if you guys do want to come trade with us, come join us, check out that link down below in the description of this video. Nonetheless, you guys enjoy your weekends, and I will see you in the next one.